Welcome back to Crime Bowl Podcast. We are your hosts, Bill and Jill. Shout out to all our listeners. You guys rock. Make sure you like and subscribe. Ready to get started. Tonight, we're heading back to the 1970s.
Ooh, the 70s.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
A city buzzing with excitement. It's October 26th,
Big night.
and Muhammad Ali has just won his comeback fight against Jerry Quarry.
But
Comeback fight, huh?
as the city celebrates,
Yeah, big win.
$1 million heist
Whoa.
is about to go down, shaking the underworld to its core.
Sounds like we've got a good one tonight.
Oh, we do.
So set the scene for us.
Okay, so...
Ali's victory, right? You're right to start there.
Okay.
With Ali's victory. This wasn't just any fight. It was a cultural earthquake. Ali's return after years of exile,
An exile.
for refusing the draft,
Oh, right, yeah.
was a huge symbol of resistance. This victory, in the heart of the South no less, electrified the city.
I bet. Okay, so in the midst of all this,
Right.
this electric atmosphere, right?
An exclusive after-party
Uh-huh.
was being thrown by none other than
Wait.
Horton Chicken Man Williams. Now, this wasn't
Chicken mash.
just your average party host. Chicken Man was Atlanta's underworld kingpin, running
It was... Oh, what?
a poultry business
Poultry. Like chickens.
as a front for his criminal empire.
Okay, so this chicken man guy,
Yeah.
he's got his hands in a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. That duality is key to understanding this whole story.
Mm,
He was a powerful figure straddling the line
both sides.
between legitimate business and the criminal underworld. His after-party was a melting pot of Atlanta's elite, attracting celebrities,
I'd have...
politicians,
Oh,
and, of
wow.
course, major players in organized crime.
So you've got this, like, high-stakes mix of
Yeah.
people, and among them
Among them,
were some of the heist's biggest targets.
Frank Moten, better known as the Black Godfather,
The Black Godfather, wow.
and members of the rising Black Mafia family,
BMF.
the BMF.
Okay.
Those are some big names. Yeah, let's unpack those names a bit.
Mhm.
Frank Moten was a figure who commanded fear and respect. The Black Godfather title wasn't just for show.
Right.
It reflected his influence and power in Atlanta's underworld. And the BMF,
Okay.
while still early in their rise to power,
Mm-hmm.
were already making a name for themselves in the drug trade. They were aligned with Moten, forming a formidable force in the city's criminal landscape.
So, wait, this is almost Shakespearean.
Yeah, it is.
You've got Ali's triumphant return, the
Sure.
symbol of hope and change, and then, bam,
Man.
a brazen robbery.
Targeting.
Targeting some of the most powerful figures in the city's underworld.
Unbelievable. So tell me more about
Okay.
how the heist actually went down.
Okay, so picture this, right? The after party is in full swing at
Yeah.
this undisclosed location.
Right.
Sources describe it as lavish, with guests decked out in jewels, celebrating Ali's victory.
Sounds fit.
Oh, yeah. And suddenly, a group of masked gunmen storms the party. They're not there for random acts of violence.
Yeah.
They're targeted, going straight for Moten and the BMF members.
Wow.
It was a well-planned operation.
Do we know anything about who might have been behind it?
The sources are pretty tight-lipped about the details, but we know that Gunham got away with
Yeah.
over $1 million in cash,
Wow.
jewelry, and valuables. It was meticulously planned, and it sent shockwaves through Atlanta's underworld. The question on everyone's mind was,
Yeah.
who had the audacity and the power to pull this off?
I bet the theories were flying. Was it an inside job?
Oh, yeah.
Was it a rival gang?
Trying to make a power grab?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some whispered that it was an inside job. It was a message from a rival faction.
Trying to
Yeah.
challenge Moten and the BMF's growing dominance.
Exactly. The lack of conclusive answers only fueled the speculation and paranoia. What we do know is
Yeah.
this wasn't some random act of violence. This was strategic, a calculated move in the game of power that defined Atlanta's underworld.
So what happened next? Did Moten and the BMF just...
Sit back and take this.
Yeah.
Moten,
Uh-huh.
known for his ruthless reputation, was certainly not one to let $1 million insult slide, let alone a challenge to his authority.
Right.
And the BMF,
Tiger too?
yeah, eager to cement their position in the city, were just as determined to find out who was responsible. They weren't going to rely on the police.
No.
They launched their own investigations,
Using their own...
using their network of informants and enforcers to dig for information.
It sounds like things were about to get even more intense in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
This heist wasn't just about the money. It was about power, respect and revenge.
Exactly. And this is where things get
Even more interesting.
even more interesting.
Because within weeks of the robbery,
Yeah.
3 men were indicted
Oh, wow.
for their alleged involvement. McKinley Rogers Jr., James Henry Hall,
Mm-hmm.
and Houston J. Hammond.
So they actually managed to get some leads.
Yeah, it's surprising,
That's surprising.
given the code of silence that usually surrounds these types of crimes.
Right, right. But it seems like Moten and the BMF weren't waiting for the legal system to play out. Shortly after the indictments,
Oh,
both Rogers and Hall were found murdered in the Bronx, New York. Their deaths were brutal, bearing all the hallmarks of a calculated message.
a chilling reminder of the kind of justice that prevailed
Yeah,
in the underworld.
in that world.
Yeah. It seems Moten and the BMF were sending a clear message.
What's that?
Cross us, and the price is death. But what about
Yeah.
the third man, Houston J. Hammond? What happened to him?
That's where the story takes another unexpected turn.
Okay.
While Rogers and Hall met a grim end, Hammond somehow managed to survive. Did he strike a deal with the authorities?
Maybe.
Did he disappear into the shadows? We just don't know.
Wow, that's crazy.
His survival adds another layer of mystery to an already complex and fascinating case.
It really makes you think about the inner workings
Yeah.
of organized crime.
Of that world.
What could Hammond possibly have offered
Right.
that would spare him from the same fate as his associates?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Was he a pawn in a larger game? Did he have information that could be traded for his life? Or was he simply
Or just lucky.
incredibly lucky to escape the BMF's reach?
It's like something out of a crime novel where every answer seems to lead to another question.
Yeah.
And speaking of questions,
What about...
Chicken Man Williams?
Oh, yeah, Chicken Man.
Where does he fit into all of this? Was he a target? Or was his security just incredibly lax?
That's a great question, and one that has fueled speculation for years. Some believe that Chicken Man himself was a target,
Oh, interesting.
that the heist was a direct attack on his power and reputation.
Yeah.
Others argue that it was simply a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time,
Right.
a consequence of hosting such a high-profile gathering.
Yeah.
But whatever the truth,
Yeah.
the heist seems to have had a profound impact on him.
It must have.
The sources suggest that he became much more cautious after the robbery,
Yeah.
tightening his security
Of course.
and reevaluating his alliances. The heist was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that even at the top of the food chain,
right.
no one is truly untouchable.
No one.
Yeah, it really does make you wonder about the psychological impact, you know.
Right.
Imagine the paranoia, the constant looking over your shoulder. The heist didn't just steal their money and valuables,
Right.
it stole their sense of security.
And think about the
Yeah.
public perception. Ali's comeback was supposed to be this monumental moment for the city.
Right, right.
This beacon of hope and change. And instead, it's forever linked to this brazen act of violence,
Yeah.
exposing the dark underbelly of Atlanta's elite.
It's almost like a microcosm
It is.
of the era itself.
Yeah.
The optimism of Ali's return
Right.
clashing with the harsh realities of organized crime.
It also makes you think about how interconnected
Yeah,
those worlds really were.
I know, right?
Celebrities, politicians,
Yeah.
mingling with these powerful gangsters.
At Chicken Man's party.
Yeah, a Chicken Man's party.
Huh.
It's a reminder that the lines between those worlds
Yeah,
can be very blurry,
Yep.
especially in a city like Atlanta.
absolutely. And this case really highlights the complexities of power in that era. You had figures like Moten and the BMF building their empires
Right.
through illegal activities.
Right.
But they were also influential figures in the community,
Yeah.
wielding power that extended beyond the criminal underworld.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
That they operated outside the law, yet
Yeah.
they commanded this level of respect, even fear.
From people both inside and outside their circle.
Exactly.
And the heist challenged that power dynamic.
It did.
It forced these figures to confront their vulnerability, to reassess their strategies. And ultimately, it probably shaped the way they operated going forward.
This whole story
Yeah,
has so many layers.
it does.
The historical context of Ali's comeback, the intrigue of the heist itself,
Yeah.
the ruthlessness of the underworld's response, and then all these lingering questions
Right.
about who was really behind it and why.
Exactly.
What do you think is...
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the most compelling aspect of this case for you?
For me, it's the enduring power of mystery.
The mystery.
Yeah. Even though decades have passed, we still don't have definitive answers to some of the biggest questions. Like, who were those masked gunmen?
Yeah.
What happened to Houston J. Hammond? Did Chicken Man Williams play a more significant role than we know?
These unsolved
But
elements.
keep the story alive, you know?
They do.
They invite us to speculate.
Yeah. To piece together the puzzle.
Exactly. Like a real-life crime novel.
Oh, speaking of crime novels, I recently came across something.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
A new TV series called Fight Night, The $1 Million Heist,
Okay.
is airing on Peacock.
No way.
It's based on this very case.
Wow, that's fascinating.
We've got an incredible cast, too.
Really?
Kevin Hart,
Oh, wow.
Samuel L. Jackson,
Mhm.
Don Cheadle,
Yeah.
Taraji P. Henson.
That's a great cast.
It makes you wonder how they've interpreted these larger-than-life
I know, right?
characters and events.
It's true. Truth is often stranger than fiction,
It is.
and that sometimes the most captivating stories are those rooted in reality.
So as we delve deeper into this Fight Night heist,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways for our listeners?
Mm.
What could we learn from this story
Yeah.
about the criminal underworld, about power?
About the era itself.
Yeah.
This case highlights the constant tension between those seeking power and those trying to hold on to it. It shows how fragile reputations can be and how quickly the tables can turn, even for those at the top.
It also reminds us that organized crime
Yeah.
is rarely about just one event.
Right.
This heist was a single point in a much larger narrative,
Exactly.
a chapter in the ongoing saga of Atlanta's underworld.
And the consequences of this heist likely rippled outward, impacting alliances, rivalries, and the balance of power in the city for years to come.
It's a powerful reminder that the past is never truly past.
No.
The choices these figures made, the actions they took, they all had repercussions that shaped the future.
Yeah.
And their story continues to fascinate us today,
It does.
offering a glimpse into a world where power, greed, and violence collided on a night that should have been all about celebration.
And as we've seen, the fight for power, respect, and survival can lead down some very dark paths,
It can.
leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions
Right.
and enduring mysteries.
You know, it's fascinating to think about this story in the broader context of the time.
Right.
The early 1970s.
Yeah, crazy time.
Was such a tumultuous period in American history. You had civil rights movement, the Vietnam War,
so much change.
so much social and political upheaval. And here in Atlanta,
Right.
you see these forces colliding in this world of crime and celebrity.
It's true. This wasn't just about a robbery.
Yeah.
It was a reflection of, like, the shifting power dynamics,
Right.
the racial tensions and the economic anxieties of that era, and the fact that it occurred against the backdrop of Ali's comeback, this symbol of Black empowerment and resistance.
It adds another layer to the narrative.
It's a stark reminder
It is.
that even in moments of celebration and progress, there are undercurrents of darkness and violence.
That can erupt unexpectedly.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what continues to draw people to this story, even today.
I think you're right.
This case, with its mix of high-stakes crime, charismatic figures, and unanswered questions, it has all the elements of a classic true crime story.
Yeah.
It taps into our fascination with, like,
The dark side.
the dark side of human nature, the allure and danger of the criminal underworld.
It also speaks to our desire, I think,
Right.
to understand the past,
To unravel the mysteries.
to unravel the mysteries that linger long after the headlines fade.
Right.
And in this case,
Right.
there are so many tantalizing threads left hanging.
There are.
We can speculate.
We can analyze.
But ultimately,
Some questions may never be fully answered.
yeah, and maybe that's part of the allure,
I think so.
the unanswered questions.
They keep us coming back for more.
They do. They keep us engaged,
Yeah.
prompting us to delve deeper, to consider different perspectives,
Right, right.
and to draw our own conclusions. It's a reminder that history
Yeah.
is not always neat and tidy,
No, it's messy.
that there are often gaps in the narrative,
Yeah.
and that sometimes the most compelling stories
Are the ones.
are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Fight Night heist,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with? What's the lasting impression you hope this story leaves?
This case is a powerful reminder that appearances can be deceiving, that power is a fluid and often fragile thing,
Right.
and that even in a world seemingly governed by violence and retribution, survival is possible,
It is.
albeit sometimes at a great cost. The Fight Night Heist offers a glimpse into a complex and turbulent era,
He does.
challenging us to confront uncomfortable truths about our past
Ah,
and to consider how those events continue to shape our present.
well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of the Fight Night Heist, a story that continues to fascinate and intrigue, even after all these years.
Until next time, keep exploring the shadows.
True crime, no bull.